So I remember one day we were like sitting in a like empty house in the north of Iran with an architect, and there was an empty wall, and then let's do like a round window. And my dad was like, draw it. They finally built that window and it became Ali's window.
What's the difference between studying architecture in Sharjah contra Toronto?
I mean, there are big brands that you can mention that people have it in their own house, but not everyone has, these local artists that are like, oh wow, this local designer.
It also changed in the past years.
And we are so good at it now. She used to say, can you imagine how long time it took for this artist to actually create the piece? And how easy it is for the viewer to just pass by and not give the opportunity for the art piece to speak to you.
For me, the main purpose is not investment. It's my passion for art, but it's like a discovery, you explore. It's like a treasure hunting.
Ali, have you ever cried looking at an art piece? We want to take a moment and thank Halm Collectives, the stunning space that hosts season 2 of the Design Pod.
From its beautifully designed interiors to the energy it brings, Halm truly reflects the creative spirit behind our conversations. We are grateful to be recording in a space that feels so aligned with our vision.
More than just a location, Halm Collective is also a home to a reformer studio, a private boutique gym, and a charming cafe. A full experience built around design, wellness, and community.
Thank you guys from Halm Collective for making this season possible. Hi, Shad.
Hi, Valeria.
How are you?
You know what? Today was a day.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had one of those days.
You didn't say it for a while. you usually you're like so hyper happy,
I think it's important to
have a balance.
Acknowledge that some days are not the best days. And maybe today was not one of the best days.
Okay, now we're gonna change your mood.
But I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
How are you? How was your day?
I'm very good.
Amazing.
So, why I'm saying we're gonna change your mood today? We have a really interesting guest with us today. Very up and coming person, Ali Mohammadioun. Creative director, founder of E Plus A Studio, architect, and also very prominent art collector, who is very much involved in promoting young talents who are very pro sustainability. And welcome, Ali. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Ali. Super excited. I think we just dive in.
Sure.
But before we do that, we of course want to thank Halm Collectives for sponsoring the season 2 and the space that we're in today. Ali, growing up in Iran and having a background in culture, or you're pro art and culture, and you're an architect. How do you combine all of those pieces together when it comes to your design?
I mean, originally when I was born in Tehran, so you grow up with art and culture. So it's heavily invested in architecture. You see a lot of wall murals around the city. And my family also, they were into art. So my aunt was a great painter. My sister would like painting. So it was something that it was in my DNA and I was born with, but I could see it also across the city that I was living in every day. So art and architecture was a big part of my life since I was a kid. So, and my parents really encouraged that. So putting me in the painting classes since I was 6, involving me in our vacation home in north of Iran with our architects since I was 7. So I actually So I actually figured out I want to be an architect since I was 7 years old.
Amazing.
So I remember one day we were like sitting in a like empty house in the north of Iran with an architect, and there was an empty wall, and then the architect was trying to figure out with my dad what they're gonna build, what they're gonna do with that surface, with that facade. And I was like, yeah, let's do it like a round window. And my dad was like, draw it. And the window itself was like, I think 4 meters. And that was like many years ago. So the technology, imagine, and then you're outside of the city. And they finally built that window and it became Ali's window. So even my essay to get into any architecture school, and I got into most of them, was about that window. And even every time there was like a storm or something, we were sitting down that window. everyone was like, the window's shaking. It was like, oh, are you sure? My dad was like, no, we had to make it happen. So it was really encouraging.
Wow.
And then that house was in the nature. So as we were building in that house, I go even in the forest. So I always had that connection between art, architecture, and nature. And I think that's really reflects in my work today.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture of that window?
I don't have it right now, but I can find out. Yeah.
Post it.
Yeah, I should.
Post it.
Yeah, so that was
It's
my
a beautiful
window.
story.
Yeah, so like the house was between the forest and the sea, and I think the distance was like around 4 kilometers. So once you're like on the staircase and looking into a window, so you could see the forest and you can see the sea in the background. So for me, that connection between nature and indoor and outdoor, I think was created at a very young age.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And then your journey started in Iran, and you moved here, and you continue here, and then you went to study, and you became an architect. Is that right?
Yeah.
How did you start your journey in design and architecture industry?
I moved to UAE when I was
Yeah.
13 years old. So I finished my high school here.
so very young.
I went for a short time to University of Sharjah to study architecture. And then I moved to Toronto and I studied architecture there. But I always had, like, we had home here. So Dubai was always home. And I was in this beautiful city since I was very young. And even though I was studying abroad, I was trying to always spend
Always
2-3
come back,
months
yeah.
of the year in UAE. And I was always drawn to come back. So as soon as I finished my study, even as I was studying, I was doing my friends' houses there, or I was doing something related to art and architecture and design. But then I decided to come back to UAE and continue that. And I started opening my own firm.
Amazing.
What's the difference between studying architecture in Sharjah contra Toronto?
Oh,
In what year are we, and what year are we talking about?
We are talking about 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is it studying architecture in Sharjah contra Toronto 2008?
Also, interior architecture, interior and architecture back
Yeah.
then versus what we see now.
Studying architecture is never easy because they want to prepare you to what's out there. And what's
so
out there is
true.
never easy as well.
Yeah.
So University of Sharjah is a great university. It's a beautiful campus. So the interesting point is I had a professor in University of Sharjah, I think the first year that I went there. I went only for 6 months. And then on the third year of the school in Ryerson University, I had the same professor.
Oh, wow.
And she was amazing. So I don't think there's any border in architecture, like what you study in this city or you're studying in different school. There are different methods, but at the end of the year, it's not easy. And I don't find that much of a difference.
I never thought of it. Now I know the answer actually why it's so difficult, guys. Now we know because they really prepare us for the worst.
Yeah.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
It does change. I remember like in the first year of the school, we were not allowed to use anything digital. Everything is supposed to be by hand. And I believe a lot of schools, even my school, they still do project like that. But I believe a lot of things have become digital. And I don't see any problem with that. But we did a lot of things by hand, back then. Yeah.
Blueprints.
Yeah, all of
Blueprints,
us.
yeah.
I think all of us.
The
Yeah.
old blue paper.
What is your relationship with technology?
You cannot avoid technology. It was not my strength at the beginning, but I learned to cope with it. You cannot avoid it.
No.
I think you should celebrate it. But it's always, I like to touch the material by hand. I like to feel things. I like to still do sketches. I think you can start with the sketch always.
I think it's a part of our profession. It's very tangible, right?
Yeah.
We always want to touch everything. It's true.
Ali, you're, I would say, very known for using materialistic, products. You use a lot of different material, and you use different type of lights, and of course, art. I want to dive in deep in art discussion with you. But how do you combine these
Layering.
elements? Rich layering. I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
What is about rich layering?
For me, it's about understanding the material and being creative about that project by understanding the project and the client itself. So for me, it's about telling a story. Like what are the client's requirements, and then how can you combine those material to tell a story? It's not about being too much, being loud. It's about being sophisticated, but also has a purpose in design. So lighting, sense of smell, sense of sound. So it's about the storytelling for me for any project. So it's about the experience, not only visual. So I think material really helps by that. But like, you can put a mirror as a reflection, and you can create illusion. You can use brass and then oxidize it to create something new. And then people say, okay, what is this material? They want to touch it. So that sort of excitement that you can create with material is timeless.
I mean, I've noticed that most of your work is very luxurious. At the same time, a lot of the things that you mentioned, you are very pro sustainability. How do you combine luxury with such a big impact of sustainability? It's not easy. It's not easy to work with sustainability.
Yeah.
Usually it's very, very simple. Yet your work looks very, like, as we mentioned before, very layered, very luxurious. It doesn't, it looks very sophisticated, I would say. How do you manage to do that?
Great question.
I think it's about educating your client. And for me, sustainability is also about durability, right? So the material that you use, that they can stay there for years, to encourage them. Maybe sometimes you even pay a little bit more, but you use a material that will stay longer rather than buying a material that is like, it's cheap, but then after 2-3 years they have to change it. So it's about the durability.
Yeah.
Also, I know a lot of materials, especially in these regions, are coming from outside. So we also think about carbon footprints of what we can use from local material. We can use local. We have great local manufacturer right now that they brought all those machinery from Italy, and they can produce high-end furniture.
Do you work a lot with the local manufacturers here?
Yes, and it changed over years. So now, before we did not have any options, right? But now there are great local manufacturers that can use that. At least you will reduce the carbon footprint, and also working with the local designers. I mean, it's very encouraging. I know the clients, they want the top names from all over the world, but at least you can combine them, and then eventually, slowly, I see throughout the project, the third or second project that I'm doing with the client, they want to use more of these local artists, local materials, because it's something that, I mean, there are big brands that we can mention that people have it in their own house, but not everyone has, these local artists that are like, oh wow, this local designer.
It also changed in the past years.
And we are so good at it now.
Yeah.
We're so good at it now.
I agree.
So there is no reason for not to use it.
Yeah.
It's about educating, exactly like you said. Okay, we know these names, we know these brands. Okay, one piece, one thing here, one thing there, and majority of the things would be locally bred.
Produced, yeah absolutely.
Are you a less is more guy or a more is more guy?
I'm somewhere in between, honestly. If for myself, if you talk about my house, I like more is more.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like an organized chaos. But you have to be very careful. Anyone who come to my own house, they always have a sense of peace. So it has to be really curated. It has to be balanced. But for clients itself, I always try to understand them and what they like based on their lifestyle. My projects are very, very diverse. So I don't believe that this is my style, I do only this. No, I understand them. I go to dinner with them, lifestyle. What do you do? Do you host? What do you want? What color you like? Then you can tell a story. Then you get the best result, and then they will be surprised. Because some they don't even know,
I do exactly the same thing. And the other day, funny, we were talking about questionnaires.
Yeah, we had
and the topic was okay.
Are you doing like a questionnaire?
There is some studios that doesn't do questionnaires, and I was like, I don't do questionnaires, but I take them out for a dinner.
Yeah,
I get to know them and
that's
who
probably
they are.
the best way.
Yeah. And I go to dinner at their house, to see what their lifestyle is. Sometimes they think they know what they want, but they don't know what they want, So if you guide them, then magic happens.
I like this.
Yeah.
It's also it also funny enough that sometimes a designer is not just designer, but part-time shrink, part-time consultant.
Yeah.
It comes as a package,
oh, yeah,
right?
Definitely.
It comes as a package.
Oh, that's a fact.
I'm the best shrink in town, guys. I've heard your house is beautiful. I haven't been myself, but
it is beautiful.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there.
It's out there.
Yeah. What is very special about your house that when you come when the first time, like when you enter, there's this beautiful fountain and it looks very serene. But when you go inside, you see so many layers and so much art and so much happening that you actually want to explore more and more. It's a very beautiful, beautiful space.
You are a big art collector, right?
There is a lot of art.
I have a lot of passion for art.
You have a lot of passion for art.
art.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your passion for art
and your
how,
journey into art as well.
I mean, as I told you, I was painting myself since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I always had passion with art. And I mean, with everything that I do for art and architecture, I still try to do painting, not as much, and time-wise is very difficult. But I like to see what other artists talk about, especially upcoming artists that they're out there. And I started exploring art, and I felt the connection with certain pieces and certain artists, and that's how it started. So when I put a piece of art, it can be in any medium on the wall. Sometimes I have conversation with these works. Sometimes I see more every day that I pass by. So it's exciting. It's like a living piece that you have in your house. And I do the same thing with my clients. So I try to make them understand and tell the story about the art. And once they have it, they have the first piece, then they were like, okay, I want the second piece and the third piece.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, for certain people, it's a good investment. I mean, we all cannot deny
Yeah, definitely,
it.
yeah.
For me, the main purpose is not investment. It's my passion for art. But it's like a discovery, you explore. It's like a treasure hunting.
That's beautiful. I also wanted to ask how important we all know that it's super important to have obviously a beautiful curated piece. Do you guys provide as a E Plus A services as a consultant as well, who can advise on art for a client together with the interior services?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I believe in art.
Like curated pieces.
I mean, if you have the knowledge of it, I think, and then you can do the art consultancy for the same project, you can really connect the dots to connect the pieces, because you have the understanding of the client, of the space, their requirements, and then you know what are the pieces that are going, what materials on the floor, what are the pieces of furniture and accessories, what are the plants outside, and then if you can connect all this, you get the best result.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where layering comes.
How do you find new talents? Artists?
How do you scout them?
Nowadays, it's become a bit easier because, there's social media, and a lot of artists that are unknown, I mean, they don't have any other choice that they have Instagram accounts. And you'd be surprised, a lot of big collectors now, or a lot of big also artists that you see out there, they start from Instagram. I don't do it solely from Instagram. Obviously, I'm always watching for any upcoming artist, any interesting show. And also, we have great galleries even in Dubai that they're also exploring, and they're finding all these talents.
What are your favorite galleries and favorite up-and-coming artists? Yeah, everyone is just like let's start
with the galleries.
Honestly, we have a lot of good galleries in Dubai, and individually, all of them, they're doing great here. And I mean, we have seen how much art in the UAE been evolved through years, and it's a celebration now, and it got super big, and I'm glad that happened. But each gallery, I mean, I cannot name any individual. We have so many. We have Leila Heller, we have Third Line, we have so many. I don't want to name.
No. We really have a lot of fantastic galleries.
I want to do 2 shout-outs.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah. Please do.
I went to Laura Shabibi today.
Yeah.
And they have
Omar Al-Gorg.
Yeah,
that's a great show.
Yeah, who was our guest as well.
He was our guest on the first season.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's very talented.
It's beautiful, beautiful pieces.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Omar also is doing great, pieces of furniture. So these are all local talents. And finally, we are celebrating them. We are using it in our project.
Yeah.
True.
So that's what we're talking about. So I think that's also sustainable. You know what I mean? You're not importing talent or pieces of furniture when you have all these local talent that you can use even for your project. I mean, his photographies are beautiful.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. Would you... how important is it to invest in the local talent for you?
Personally, for me, it's very important. But when it comes to projects, sometimes it's challenging, right? Because
absolutely, I agree with you. That's why I'm asking.
Certain clients that they they know those big names and they want to host the same people that they know those big names as well. But I believe it's changing. It's evolving and changing, and us as a designer, as a curator, as an architect, we play a big role to educate the client. It's much easier to do it the other way. Yeah. But then I feel guilty sometimes, because but you have to. It's a hard job. But once or twice you do it, and because I have a lot of clients that I'm doing the 5th or the 6th house for them in Dubai, in London, etc. So then it becomes much easier for them, to trust you. Once they trust you, then you can do what you want.
Ali, you said something before and it stuck with me, and I just wanted to talk about it. You said every time I see a piece, I have a dialogue with it. When I studied masters in art history in Italy, I had the most amazing teacher, Sarah, shout out.
Second shout out, by the way.
Third shout out.
Third shout out, yeah.
And she planted something in me, and we used to go to galleries and museums, and she used to say, can you imagine how long time it took for this artist to actually create a piece? And how easy it is for the viewer to just pass by and not give the opportunity for the art piece to speak to you. Tell me a little bit what that feeling is for you when you're saying that you have a conversation with the art. How does that feel? And how do you, what's the dialogue?
That's a beautiful question.
For me, I do my research about the artist before even I go to a show. And sometimes the artists are super new and upcoming, so you don't know much. But it's all about personal connection and my understanding of art. And I always encourage people, if you acquire a piece, first see your connection with that piece itself. So first I look at it and it's just like, okay, what's my understanding? Obviously, read what's the exhibition about. But then I'm lucky that I like to always be in touch with the artist. And for the opening of the show, if the artist is there, I'll go and get into conversation with the artist. So I want to know what's their story.
If they're alive.
And what's the depth of their story? If they're alive, But what's the depth of their story and what are they talking about? So once you have that conversation with an artist and you have that understanding of the art, then the magic happens. So, and then sometimes I even take my clients that they don't collect, and then we say, okay, like some art pieces would complement the wall, etc. I take them to the show, they engage with an artist, and then once they know the story of that piece, they're like, oh, I want that piece, and they put it on their wall, and then once they have the guests, and then when they have their hosting, they go and tell the same story to their guests, and they're like, wow, and it's contagious. And then I had a client of mine who's like, yeah, I had this because she wants a piece from this artist because she loved the story of what is it about. So
yeah, that's what we're going to do. What Ali buys, we buy.
Yeah, no, but it's a very, very good suggestion to do that. Also, art is all about a gut feeling that you have. Yeah. So bringing the client to a gallery and ask them, what do you feel when you see this art piece, And a lot of the artists, they're so kind, and they will actually allow you to take one of the pieces and hang it and also see within your ambience if it fits or not fit.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case for commercial projects. It's much more challenging.
No, residential maybe, I think maybe it's easier.
Yeah, residential, it's...
But also, people love to brag about a specific art piece that they have in their house, so they love to talk about it. So it's I've spoken about Fabio Viale so many times
here on this
podcast.
You can say it one more time. That's
I can
fine.
say it. Yeah, Fabio Viale, an amazing sculpturist from Italy. We got his first sculpture piece to UAE to one of my clients 4 years ago. And he custom made the sculpture piece for that specific client, and it has never happened before. And the whole story about him, making it, and it's a marble piece, and he tattoos the marble.
Wow.
And each symbol was custom made for the client, and each symbol had a meaning for the client. When all of her guests saw it, they just started to buy from him,
Yeah, that I also feel like in this region, when there is a trend, we all follow very, very much under the trend. So it's our job to set the trend right, and to make sure that this is how it's like, for example, promoting young talents, right? Yeah. And there comes my next question, actually. You are, and that I read in a few articles, that you're very much about promoting a young, up-and-coming talents. And you've mentioned in one of your interviews that young artists should be placed together with the quite famous artists because it's encouraging. How do we groom this talent, first of all, and how do we promote this talent, and how we make sure that we can put them together with the big names?
I mean, when you think about it, all those masters, the big names, I mean, the fine arts, let's say, all these pieces at the beginning, they started somewhere, right? They have the first exhibition. Like, you know, one of my favorite artists, Paris Tanawari, for example, legend. He started at the beginning, and it was not like every show was sold out at the beginning, right? So they started somewhere. And then now they are masters, like, and, you know, they're known worldwide.
Yeah.
And then for these young artists, they start somewhere. So when I feel the talent, when I see the talent, I feel like obligated, you know, as someone who has a collection, who has also a way to promote this artist, to actually put these pieces in people's houses, in hotels, and in residential, commercial spaces. Then I feel obligated to support it. And it doesn't mean what I think it's right? I have also like advisors sometimes, but when I see the talent, I like to encourage them. And sometimes the pieces are not sold out, but when they see a piece at a certain collection,
definitely,
and then especially when they see a picture of, you know, the artist that they admire and their pieces next to it, it really encourages them.
Yeah.
And then these artists, when you see the talent, maybe the first collection is not the best. It's not the best show. Maybe you can see one or two, but then over time it evolves.
What would you name what are your favorite? Well, at the moment, I'm sure you have a lot, but what are the artists that you like from the young ones?
Yes, everyone wants to know this now.
Yeah.
Okay, Iranian artist, I really like Farrokh Mahdavi.
Yeah.
It's an Iranian artist.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I love the fact that he was a boxer.
Yes.
I have personal connection because it's about aging.
Yeah.
So I like his technique.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite the living artists. There's so many, you know.
Regional? How about the regional artists? Anyone from?
I mean, I really like Omar's work, as mentioned. Like, you know, that was amazing. But we have so many. I mean, the Muhammad Ibrahim Mansouri, like, you know, I love his work. He's local artist. He does magic.
Yeah.
International?
International, I like Basquiat, for example. I love the work. There's so many from what I'm mentioning. I'm a friend with a lot of artists. So
You're like, you know, I'm just going to be very diplomatic about it.
Do you see yourself as a mentor?
No. When it comes to art, I don't see myself as a mentor. But when I see talents, I like to support. So I try to be a support. I do a lot of collaboration with artists. So when I see a good painter, when I see a good sculpture, so I work with them and I call it collaboration. So we create collection. So that way I support them. At the same time, I love that sort of creation that will come with my style and what they do. So that's something that I do. But I always, when I see the talent is there and it can be developed to something much more great, I will advise them to talk to the people that I believe that they can be great advisor to them or great mentor. So that's what I do. But I do collaboration with artists a lot.
This generation, that I'm not going to mention again Gen Z because we've been mentioning it a lot, it feels very disconnected and connected at the same time. What would be your advice to young people who wants to make it out there like us, interior designers, architects, collectors? What would be your advice to youngsters out there?
I believe they have to be original. Like, you know, we have a lot of, you know, now we have whatever that's going with the social media, people like, you know, like they're doing the same thing. They just want to be safe. But I tell them to be brave. You know, like don't follow trends, like set the trends. Like that's what we're doing in Dubai, you know. I think like before we import a lot of restaurants from all over the world, we still do, but now we're exporting restaurant, you know. Yeah. So I think they have to be brave. I mean, at the beginning it might be difficult, but let them explore, let them have a mentor, let them understand what's out there, but then inspire and create your own originality, creativity, you know. So
where is art going? Like, what's going to happen with art? I mean, we're looking
Are you asking if we're going to be replaced by AI?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. No,
I would just
no, we had the brief period NFT tried to come into the art culture. It did not work.
Yeah.
You know, it died out.
But did it die out actually,
I
or
think,
not?
No. I think it died out. It had a hype and then it disappeared. You know, maybe
Do you invest in NFTs?
I personally don't, but I believe a lot of people still do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a word out there that maybe it's not really. There's a community for it. So there's still a lot of transaction in NFT and a lot of collector.
Where's art going? Like the new generation that you're seeing, how is that different from what we saw from 100 years back?
I believe it's celebrating. I mean, it's being celebrated a lot more now. And people, even young, I see a lot of young collectors that are entering the art for, because it's also a good investment for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you even look at the let's say the number out there, so spending in art and investing in art has been great for a lot of people. So, and the young generation, they liked it for aesthetically, but also they like it for investment, and it's also a sense of pride of, you know, owning a piece of art of the artist that you really like.
So the physical art is still here to stay, but NFTs will still. Do you think there is definitely a future for NFTs, right?
I think it will coexist, but the physical, I would never replace the physical art. I don't know. At least
Yeah.
our
I agree.
generation.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the new art that we see, the meanings behind them is evolved, obviously, of course, by, you know, our society. But it's a lot of propaganda. It's a lot of, you know, meaning within the art pieces. Is there something specific that you feel like this generation is focusing on in terms of expressing themselves in the art?
I mean, that's very wild. I mean, art is super diversified, right? So we have a lot of, you know, artists that are being celebrated, you know, in the region from whatever they're sending a message about a certain country, certain region, whatever is happening. So it's all, it's super diversified. So art's always sending a message. There's always a story. I think imperfection now being celebrated more than perfection. That's what I see.
Yeah, that's true.
And but it's super diverse. It's
maybe
very hard
not
to
even
say.
imperfection, you know, it's more like a reality and not not the image that we see on social media. Yeah, because reality is very different. But I personally think that, and I know that one of the guests already mentioned that a lot of art comes through pain or through experience something and that definitely reflects as well on
also in furniture design. Also in creating furniture, not
pieces.
only
Yeah.
Can we take it out there? And I want to see from the artist more. I want to see performance art. I miss that from this generation.
Yeah, but I mean, it still exists. Like, for example, Emirati artist Maita Abdullah. Like, she's a great painter and she's a great performance artist. Yeah. So it's always been out there, but in the region, I think it's being celebrated a little bit more and more through years. So I don't know if you see, there was a performance also this year at ICD during Art Dubai. That was also with a snake. Yeah.
I missed that one. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
yes.
that was very interesting. So, performance artists, I mean, Marina Abramovic, right? So, like, you know, it moves you.
Which is beautifully exposed in the house that you mentioned earlier. It was really, really interesting collaboration, I must say.
But I agree. So, but, you know, it's people like to have pieces also that stays, right? So, that's one of the reasons.
Performance doesn't stay.
That's
true.
So that's a bit challenging, you know, but those moments are beautiful, you know, you get goosebumps from, you know, all this performances, but people like to also to have to own a piece of art. So that's one of the reasons that is a little bit like less celebrated here.
Do you feel investing in a curated piece of furniture is equally good as investing in a piece of art?
I believe so. And I think in the future, even in this region, we will see a lot of more collectible pieces,
we do see it.
Yeah. I mean, you already see it, you know, we have collection on, we have pieces from different galleries that they're coming here for pop-ups, but with the people that are migrating and also the people that are living here, I think the culture is changing. So they want to have pieces of art, unique pieces of art, but also they want to have the unique pieces of furniture that it would be to that level, done by an artist that is like one of a kind. So they don't want to have a dining table or a coffee table that existed anywhere else. So they want that unique piece by that artist. So there is a market for it. There's also people that are coming to Dubai that they had that culture and they're coming with their designer and they want those pieces here. So it's all like, I don't know, it's when people see it in the other people's home, then they were like, so why not? I want to have it too.
Yeah.
So I think it's happening.
Yeah, I feel it's happening, and I can see it even with the diversity of the brands that come into the market, which we didn't have back then in 10 years back, and the curated furniture like Kame Space, beautifully, and again, homegrown talent, which didn't exist before the collectional, as I mentioned, for the pieces like Vincenzo De Cotis. Do you feel like people are happy now to have pieces like that, curated pieces in their homes, like your clients?
Definitely,
they're open.
Yes, they're open, but it's not like if you have, let's say 100% of the furniture, maybe they want to have 10% of the pieces like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still, because first of all, the pieces are expensive.
Definitely.
But then you have to also, for them, it's an investment. So it's like just art. Like you have to see where is this artist coming from, who is the designer, what's the story, and where was the first show. So you have to really study them. Where are they going? And then once they see actually the pieces of furniture that they're using, because for the furniture is the other way, right? So you buy a piece of furniture super expensive, and then after 10 years, sometimes you have to throw it, and it's not sustainable.
Oh no!
So,
no, you don't throw anything.
No, but it's true actually.
It's so true. You change the fabric.
And an art piece, for example, would not, if it doesn't break, it doesn't drop in value, but a piece of furniture will tear. Now, it depends of how you take care of it. You guys have amazing collection, and I know Mo in Super Studio, he has beautiful vintage pieces. But again, it's all about educating our clients and sort of telling them the importance of what these pieces are, because in the end of the day, that's our job. We have to be their teachers in what we are putting into their houses, so they can understand and enjoy it and tell the story further.
I absolutely love. We also collect furniture, and I once went to Jeffrey Bauer house many years back. And in his residence in Colombo. And it was beautiful, so beautiful how they preserved, his wife preserved all the pieces there, and they were all mid-century, and you were allowed to stay in the house. And it was, I was absolutely flabbergasted by everything that I saw there. We do collect, and what would be your favorite piece, or piece that you acquired or want to acquire?
I like upcoming artists, as I told you.
Furniture piece. What is it that you have, or maybe you want to have?
I really want to have pieces from Roham Shamekh, the artist that the Iranian artist now that has the pieces. Actually it was in many different shows. It was the last show was in Miami. I think Rihanna bought up all the pieces of Pharrell.
I know that. I know which one it is. Yes.
And I like it's just solid, a solid metal ones. They're very nice. So again, local talent. You know what I mean?
Local
that they
talent,
exported, all over the world.
Yeah.
Ali, it's been amazing having you here. Time flies when you have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that was already,
In end of each episode, we ask the question of the previous guest. So the previous guest left you a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the question...
Very interesting guest.
Yeah, and the question is, how much of your success is due to luck or hard work?
I do believe in luck. Okay. I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to have whatever that I have today. I'm not the luckiest person in the world, to be honest. But hard work, being consistent. Like and do what you love. I mean, it sounds cliche, but like do what your passion is. I mean, any job that we have is not easy, especially what we do every day.
No.
So just be consistent, be passionate about it. be innovative, learn every day if you can, as much as you can about what you do. But I think it's a combination. But no, it's your hard work, honestly.
Before you go, you have to ask the next guest a question. What would your question be?
So if you have a choice of owning $100 million house or $100 million artwork, which one would you choose?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good question.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ali,
Thank you
for
for your
coming
time.
today.
Thank you. Thank
for
you so much
sharing
for
your
having
knowledge.
me.
Thank you.
Really
Ali, have
enjoyed
you
it.
ever cried looking at an art piece?
Yes.